Service Ontario says 15,000. You say
1,500.
10% of what the government says it's worth.
Yeah, the reality is this, that in order for that vehicle to be brought up to retailable standards, I need to spend another $3,500 to change the tires, to replace an exhaust leak, to do everything that needs to be done in order for it to be sellable.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Oakville, Ontario. And folks, we have a follow-up to that crazy story we brought you last month. You remember Brian Pressament of Richmond Hill, Ontario? He was trying to sell his 2011 Scion TC. That's the vehicle right behind me. This was a car he bought used in 2018, and Service Ontario evaluated it at $7,000 for tax reasons. This year, he wanted to sell it, and somehow, some way, a car that aged 6 more years would double the kilometers, going from 130,000 to 260,000. Service Ontario said it's worth 15,000. I mean, it might be a world first, a non-notable, non-collectible car actually appreciating in value as the years go on and the mileage adds up. It makes no sense. Well, we felt bad for Brian and we thought we're going to help him. And I'm so pleased to be with Greg Carasco. He is the VP of Operations for Oakville Nissan and Oakville Infiniti. I told Greg about this situation. He couldn't believe it either, and he decided he's going to do Brian a solid by evaluating the car professionally. Now, first of all, Greg, what do you make of, have you ever heard of such a thing where a car gets 6 years older, doubles the mileage, and somehow the bureaucrats at Service Ontario say it's now worth twice as much?
I've never heard that before, but I've also heard the government being wrong in the past. So, you know, the appreciation on this car is higher than a Tesla stock. So I've never heard of this before. No. This is certainly an error. There is a glitch in the system. I don't know what it is, but especially with Scions, the vehicle is not made anymore. The prices usually don't go up in vehicles at this price range. It's not something that happens.
Indeed, and one of the courtesies you extended, you had one of your techs look at this car. It basically needs about $3,500 of work in addition, to the extra mileage, the extra age. So it's not exactly, as they say in the business, a cream puff, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, when you have driven a vehicle 250,000 kilometers, things start to go wrong with it. Now, at some point, I always advise my listeners of the radio show that the moment that you have to spend more than 30% of the value of the vehicle in repairs, it's time for you to squish it into a little metal box and just get rid of it. Yeah. So this vehicle is there. Now, all things considered, it's a Scion, it's a good car. It will last a little longer, but the amount of money you need to invest to get it up to standard is not worth the valuation.
And it's worth noting that Scion is a discontinued brand. As the law goes, they have to maintain parts for 10 years. That means there's another 2 years of parts that Toyota is responsible for. That's certainly a detrimental factor if you're thinking of keeping it for several years, is it not, Greg?
Well, there is nothing more expensive than a super, super cheap car. Because what you save on the price of the vehicle, you're going to have to spend it on maintenance. You're going to have to spend it with the unknown. And in this case here, it's not about the unknown. It's about the unknowable. There are so many things that we don't know that we don't know. I wouldn't take the risk. It's not a vehicle that I would recommend anyone that I care about to buy unless you own a mechanic shop, and that's a different conversation. But in this case here, I don't think the vehicle is worth any more than what the valuation says. Now, it's never been easier for us to determine valuations of vehicles than it is today because we have systems. We have systems in place that takes all the data for all the vehicles that are being sold across the country. So we have a baseline of what these type of vehicles are actually worth. So that's the report that we gave you.
And indeed, this is not conjecture, folks. Greg is a numbers guy, being a businessman, and he came up with this report, Auto Market Report. In all of Canada, there is precisely 7 2011 Scion TCs, including this one. There's not a single one that is selling for $15,000. The creme of the crop here is one that the person is asking $12,900 for. It's only got 71,000. That's why. That's pretty low mileage for a 2011 car. The lowest price is $3,000. So again, going by what actually exists in the market, Service Ontario is in fantasy land.
They're completely out to lunch. And the reality is this, that what people shows in the marketplaces, whether it's AutoTrader, Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, or Car Gurus, just to say a few, is what they would like to get for the vehicle.
Yes.
Not what they will get, not what the vehicle is worth. So in this case, I would like to challenge the ministry and saying, where are you getting these numbers from? Because all the data that we have across the country tells us something completely different.
You know, that's a fascinating point, Craig, and I'll tell you why. This is just one off of a particular Scion. How many other people that we don't know about walked into Service Ontario have been given incredibly bogus, inflated numbers? I can't imagine it's just this one particular model, but you know, even by Service Ontario's own math, how did a vehicle in 2018, the exact same vehicle, get evaluated at $7,000, jumps to more than double in 2024, even by their own figures? I can't make sense of this.
Well, unless we're talking about a 1969 Mustang.
That's a collectible.
Yeah, that is a collectible. Yeah. This one isn't. Now, this is one of the reasons why. I know that many dealers are vilified by the public. You know, we don't have the best reputation, which is slowly but surely going away. Yeah. There was a time and a place for the consumer to come in and get valuations at the dealership, especially if you're not intended to sell it to us. We have no skin in the game. Yeah. So it doesn't matter to us what the vehicle is worth. We will literally give you the data that you need to solidify whatever decision you're going to make.
How much is this vehicle worth? Because we had it evaluated. Greg, there's another solid here. This is a legal document. Greg, you looked at it from bumper to bumper, popped the hood. Service Ontario says 15,000. You say
1,500.
10% of what the government says it's worth.
Yeah, the reality is this, that in order for that vehicle to be brought up to retailable standards, I need to spend another $3,500 to change the tires, to replace an exhaust leak, to do everything that needs to be done in order for us to be sellable. And that is without us making any profit. So $1,500 would probably be the only number that vehicle is worth. So in other words, do I want to spend the money to fix it? I don't know if I would.
And Greg, as you always say on your show, you know, it comes down to supply and demand, doesn't it? So in the GTA, 4 million plus people. How many people woke up this morning saying, you know what? I want a 2011 Scion TC with 260,000 clicks on the odometer. I would say the number rhymes with hero.
Yeah, it's probably zero. And you know, he listens to my radio show, which is great. You know, the value of a vehicle is not determined by what I want to get for it. It's determined by how many people have the desire of that day buying a vehicle that resembles that, you know, characteristics. And the truth is that not a lot of people are looking for vehicles that have been discontinued, especially Scions. Yeah. There is no market for that.
Well, I got to say, Greg, I want to thank you on the behalf of Brian Pressament. I'm going to call him right now, give him the good news. I think he owes you at least a lunch or a dinner for this incredible gesture. You're telling me Service Ontario will accept this and they will revise that ludicrous estimate.
Yeah, and they can give him my phone number. I will discuss it here. Okay. We run a multi-million-dollar operation, and this is an actual, it's a legal valuation of the product. We have the data to back it up.
And the very least I can do for you, sir, is to plug your radio station. You heard Greg refer to his radio station. That is on the mighty Saga 960 a.m. Saturday mornings from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Given all the rubbish on mainstream radio these days, Greg, I say about a lot of the hosts, if they don't get off the air soon, I'm going to stop breathing it. But that's not the case with your show. It is exhilarating. Our mutual friend Richard Serrett, an AM 960 personality, he calls you the Joe Rogan of Canada. What do you think about that?
I don't know about that. I am way better looking than Joe. No, but we've been very fortunate. The show has been on air for about 17 years. And, the only condition that you need to have to listen to the show is to have a thick skin, because I won't lie to you. And you may not like to hear what I have to say, but when it comes to cars, I won't let you make a mistake.
Fantastic. And folks, what can I tell you? Thank goodness for a businessman in the private sector to get Brian out of this web of troubles thanks to the Service Ontario bureaucracy. It just goes to show you that the late, great Ronald Reagan was correct, wasn't he? When he said the greatest lie in the history of mankind is the following statement: "Hi, I'm from the government. I'm here to help you." For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, I know you love it when Rebel News brings you the other side of the story, but the fact is, we need your help. Unlike the mainstream media, we do not receive a nickel of Justin Trudeau's corporate welfare, nor would we take it if offered. So please, if you can, go to rebelfieldreports.com. That's rebelfieldreports.com. And if you're able to, kindly make a donation.